Tonight, nuclear fears. High alert as concerns mount that North Korea is about to take another provocative action. The U.S. making moves off the coast as North Korea lashes out. Moment of impact. For the first time, we see images of the actual explosion of that massive bomb dropped on an ISIS target in Afghanistan. What the Pentagon says it hit. Caught on camera as a second cell phone video emerges, a second police officer is fired. A man beaten by police during a traffic stop tells his story to NBC News. The price you pay to go to the doctor, an increasingly popular kind of primary care, how families are saving big and getting more time at their appointments. And make way for ducklings, kids learning a lesson in an annual rite of spring. Nightly News begins right now.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. As we come on the air tonight, it is already Saturday morning in North Korea and the day of that country's most important holiday. And that has American officials on edge tonight, brace for a possible military show of force from Kim Jong-un. Increasing signs that North Korea is preparing to stage another test of a nuclear warhead, coupled with a series of strong statements from both the White House and Pyongyang. And now a major patriotic holiday are fueling worry and anticipation of a dangerous showdown in a volatile region that's home to hundreds of thousands of Americans. We get the very latest now from NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
Tonight, all eyes on North Korea. Kim Jong-un on stage, applauded by thousands on the eve of an anniversary often used for provocative military action. The birthday of the regime's founder, his grandfather. U.S. officials say he may mark the holiday with a missile test, or worse, his sixth nuclear test. Today, a top aide to the North Korean dictator lashing out at the U.S. Accusing President Trump of pushing the world toward nuclear war by tweeting Tuesday, North Korea was looking for trouble, all creating big risks, says a former defense secretary and CIA director.
There is the potential when you challenge a country that has nuclear weapons and that has a very unpredictable leader. Those kinds of threats could lead to a provocative act that could cause a miscalculation and send us into a nuclear war.
U.S. intelligence officials tonight focusing on this North Korean nuclear complex. A new estimate tonight says they already have between 13 and 30 nuclear bombs, plus an arsenal of missiles. Not yet able to reach the U.S. mainland, but a dire threat to Japan and South Korea, and 78,000 American troops in the region. President Trump this week asked if the use of the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan was meant to send a message to Kim Jong-un.
I don't know if this sends a message. It doesn't make any difference if it does or not. North Korea is a problem. The problem will be taken care of.
But how? 2 U.S. destroyers equipped with cruise missiles are within 300 miles off the coast of Japan. Japan and South Korea have Patriot anti-missile defenses. The U.S. could try to disrupt a North Korea launch with a cyber attack. The best option, getting China to pressure North Korea, as President Trump is doing with China's President Xi. China's foreign minister tonight warning both the U.S. and North Korea to stop provoking and threatening each other.
The hope is that China, and there's some indication of this, is willing to take a tougher stand here.
If there is a nuclear test, the likely U.S. response will be a tough statement and perhaps a show of force. But if there were a missile launch aimed at the U.S., that would be different. The U.S. would take military action and try to shoot it down. Lester?
Andrea Mitchell. Thank you, Andrea. As the world watches and waits for North Korea's next move, as well as the American response, anxieties are running high in neighboring South Korea. As we reported from Seoul last week, millions there live and work within range of the North's deadly arsenal. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer has more on their fears tonight and how some South Koreans are taking great risks to challenge the North Korean regime on their own.
Tonight, South Korea is on edge. The top story on local news, new fears a growing war of words could spiral out of control, making Seoul, with 10 million people, just 35 miles from the border, the target of a North Korean attack. The concern so high, Japan is reportedly looking at ways to evacuate its 60,000 citizens from South Korea if war breaks out. The hope here tonight that North Korea will back away from any test, lowering tensions.
Its ultimate priority is survival. And basically, it's trying to find some exit that will help them to save face.
And in remote hills near the border, Lee Min-bok wages his own private war, launching balloons that carry leaflets into North Korea, telling people there about life outside a country where there's no internet and nothing but state-run television. It's made him a marked man. Cameras and police protect him.
Why does the North Korean regime see you as such a threat?
What I'm doing is sending the truth, he says, so they can rise up and topple the regime. Lee escaped the North in 1991 after finding a leaflet and learning the U.S. did not start the Korean War. Over the past decade, he's launched 1,500 balloons. Today's payload, 60,000 flyers and a radio. Cheaper than a stealth bomber, he says, and carrying a bit of him back home.
Here in Seoul, where it's Saturday morning, streets still quiet on a holiday weekend that's now overshadowed by new concerns that North Korea could act at any time and without warning. Lester?
Janice Ameki-Freyer in Seoul tonight. Thank you. Meantime, behind the scenes, the White House is monitoring developments on the Korean Peninsula. Our White House correspondent Kristen Welker is in Washington. Kristen, what's the latest from there?
Lester, good evening. The Trump administration is on heightened alert tonight. The president monitoring the situation in North Korea from his resort in Mar-a-Lago, where he will spend the Easter weekend. Today, making some time for golf, but also getting updates from national security staffers who are traveling with him. The issue isn't preventing the vice president from traveling to the region for an 11-day trip starting tomorrow. His first stop will be Seoul, where senior officials say he'll reiterate America's commitment to its allies. Meanwhile, the other big headline here tonight, White House officials announcing they won't immediately make public the names of people visiting the White House on official business, breaking with an Obama-era policy. The White House saying it's a matter of national security because they want to protect the identities of people who might have sensitive information. Watchdog groups are slamming the decision, saying it shows a lack of transparency. A senior official arguing national security and privacy concerns come first and notes even the Obama White House made exceptions. Lester.
Kristen Welker, thank you. We're also getting new details about the U.S. strike on ISIS in Afghanistan and the unprecedented battlefield use of that massive weapon dubbed the mother of all bombs. Afghan officials now claim dozens of ISIS fighters were killed. As we get a look at incredible new video from the moment of impact, NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has that for us.
New images tonight of the biggest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. arsenal splashing down on an alleged ISIS stronghold. The blast from the 21,000-pound, 30-foot-long so-called mother of all bombs spread over a mile in a valley in eastern Afghanistan.
This was the right weapon against the right target.
Afghan officials say at least 36 ISIS fighters were killed by the blast, but cautioned exact tolls after so much destruction are difficult to know. Some locals seemed to welcome the strike against ISIS, but said it was terrifying for them. My house was shaking after the blast, described a witness. I saw a big flame and everywhere was burning. So why was it launched? U.S. military officials say the goal was to collapse an ISIS tunnel complex and clear away a hidden network of booby traps so that U.S.-backed Afghan forces could advance by destroying everything in their path.
They now know they are not safe in their caves and tunnels. That could have a pretty dramatic impact on their morale.
ISIS has a relatively small but lethal presence in Afghanistan. Last month, its fighters, disguised as doctors, raided a hospital in Kabul, some visitors climbing out windows to escape the slaughter. The U.S. military says its objective with this behemoth bomb and an ongoing offensive is to rid Afghanistan of ISIS this year. But the longest war in U.S. history has proven bombs alone won't do that.
There are more than 8,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan. The ground commander has asked for more. The National Security Advisor is heading over to make an assessment, so it could be that the U.S. will be getting even more deeply involved in that war. Lester?
Richard Engel in London, thank you. Tonight, a fugitive on the run has been captured after a massive manhunt launched following a manifesto sent to President Trump threatening violence against the government. And authorities say he was found with an arsenal. NBC's Ron Mott has details from Wisconsin.
The intense 10-day manhunt for Joseph Jakubowski came to an end this morning on a farm 2.5 hours away from the gun shop authorities say he raided last week, caught on a surveillance camera allegedly stealing 18 weapons. Jeffrey Gorn called in the tip last night.
He had never said anything negative or anything that maybe would lead me to believe that he was going to do anything that would be bad.
Arrested without incident, officers recovered 4 handguns, a long gun, a samurai sword, boxes of ammunition, a helmet, vest, flammable liquids, and a copy of the so-called manifesto Jakubowski mailed to the president as seen in this cell phone video.
It really was just basically a tarp that he was living in. He looked disheveled. He appeared that he hadn't slept in some time.
Despite more than a dozen weapons still unaccounted for from the burglary, officials sounded the all clear for the community. His anti-government and anti-religious views had schools canceling classes, at least one church shuttering its doors.
I want to stress, with his arrest, there is no other credible threat related to him in the Wisconsin community.
At a local Catholic church, music and relief were in the air for Good Friday services.
Going into one of the busiest days of the whole year, I was so worried for everyone out there who may be too afraid to come out to pray or worship. So it's a big relief.
Jakubowski is expected to face multiple federal and state charges.
Joseph Jakubowski made a brief appearance in federal court today in Madison. Tonight, he's expected to be housed here at the Rock County Jail and for the foreseeable future, Lester.
All right, Ron, thank you. There are harrowing new details tonight and new video involving a confrontation that forced the firing of 2 Georgia police officers seen punching and kicking an unarmed man during a traffic stop. And for the first time, that man is speaking out about what happened to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Can I take your phone out?
He had his hands up when a Gwinnett County police sergeant clocked him during a traffic stop. Another officer then kicked him after he was handcuffed.
How scared were you?
Scared. On a scale of 1 to 10, say 20.
In an exclusive interview, 21-year-old college student Demetrius Hollins tells NBC News he'd had a previous run-in with the sergeant during another stop last year. So this time, he tried to reach for his cell phone camera to record the encounter, but he never got the chance.
Well, I thought that he was going to at least grab one of my arms and put me in handcuffs, but I didn't realize he was going to punch me in the face.
Officer Robert McDonald and Sergeant Michael Bongiovanni have both been fired and could now face criminal charges. Police Chief Butch Ayers says McDonald owned up to his actions once the first video from a bystander surfaced. He says Bongiovanni, a 19-year veteran, did not once this second video emerged.
He felt the force was justified.
The initial police report said Hollins was tasered and handcuffed after he refused to get out of the car, but the document made no mention of any punching or kicking.
Omitting something that occurred in an official report, in my opinion, is lying.
Tonight, Hollins and his family are still in shock.
When you see that it happens to your own child, it breaks my heart.
Late today, 89 cases the officers were working on were dismissed, including the charges against Hollins. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, Lawrenceville, Georgia.
A verdict has been handed down on the double murder trial of former NFL star Aaron Hernandez. He was found not guilty in a 2012 drive-by shooting in Boston, though the jury did convict him on a weapons charge. Hernandez, who once played for the New England Patriots, is already serving a life sentence for a separate murder in 2013. Still ahead tonight, unlimited doctor visits, the growing trend in flat-fee medical care. One family saving $500 a month. Also, what a United competitor is now willing to offer you to avoid the kind of overbooking fiasco seen around the world. We're back now with an increasingly popular way that families are finding to get primary health care, where patients pay a flat rate to see their doctor for basic services and as a result get more access to their doctor and more appointments that last longer. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren shows us how it works in tonight's Keeping You Healthy report.
Come on back. When Jenna Nelson takes her sons to the doctor, she doesn't worry about feeling rushed.
He takes as much time as he needs, maybe 30, 45 minutes if needed.
Can you say ah?
A big reason she opted for something called direct primary care instead of traditional insurance. It's a membership of sorts. Unlimited visits with Dr. David Cunningham for a monthly flat fee. She can text or call anytime, which can be often with a 2-year-old prone to ear infections and a 4-year-old with asthma.
What does it feel like when you have asthma? Tight. Tight?
The fee is typically between $25 and $85 a month, depending on your age, for unlimited visits, routine lab tests, and some plans even cover prescriptions. Jenna's family saves $500 a month with direct primary care and a less expensive high-deductible plan for other medical expenses. Dr. Cunningham left a traditional practice. He sees fewer patients and makes less money, but says it's worth it to avoid insurance companies dictating how he treats patients.
It feels great to be practicing medicine the way it's supposed to be.
Critics warn there's already a shortage of primary care doctors, and direct primary care does not cover specialists or hospital stays.
That leaves this whole mid-range of health problems that really can't be addressed in even the best of primary care physicians and haven't quite reached the threshold for catastrophic insurance.
But for the Nelsons, direct primary care is the answer to save money and have a doctor who's always in. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, Mansfield, Massachusetts.
We're back in a moment with a new high-tech feature from the post office to stop thieves from stealing your mail. Tonight, as United Airlines continues to deal with fallout from a passenger's violent forced removal from a flight to make room for its own employees to fly, Delta Airlines says it's giving supervisors permission to offer passengers up to nearly $10,000 in compensation to give up their seats on overbooked flights. That's up from the previous maximum of about $1,300. A new feature from the U.S. Post Office is taking the mystery out of your mailbox. A new service rolled out today called Informed Delivery will email you a picture every day showing each piece of mail you can expect to be delivered. It's an effort to cut down on mail theft, so you'll know if anything is missing. It's optional and it's free. Caught on camera, a fiery crash along a Louisiana highway. A dash cam captured the massive explosion when police say an 18-wheeler carrying 8,000 gallons of fuel rear-ended a dump truck going at a slow rate of speed. The driver of the dump truck was killed. The tanker driver suffered moderate injuries. The cause is under investigation. When we come back, the Quack Pack, the phenomenon of nature that brings a smile to school kids every spring, and I bet it'll bring a smile to your face, too. Finally, tonight is a springtime tradition. Every year, some special visitors hold a parade through the halls on an elementary school in Oregon. And the kids come flocking to see them, waddle by. A rite of spring, and in this case, a rite of passage, too. NBC's Katie Beck has the story.
Oh, I see the mama.
Spring is born at Prairie Mountain School when the ducklings hatch. This year, 13 came to the campus courtyard.
4 little ducks.
For more than a decade, the school has served as a safe nesting spot and given students a lesson to nurture nature.
So I think they really understand that it's their job to protect these little baby ducklings that are hatched here at our school.
Did you get 13?
Custodian Mark Payne doubles as the duck keeper, guiding them outside to the nearby wetlands to find water and freedom.
Tugs at your heart and very endearing, and actually it's one of the highlights of my year.
Too small to fly, but it's time to leave the nest in the interior yard, so a send-off.
Okay, line up for me.
Appropriately from the next smallest flock in the building, the kindergarten class.
How excited are you about today?
Very excited.
Jasper can hardly wait to get a close-up look.
Well, I don't see them right now. I can't see them because they're kind of camouflaged in the grass.
Not a peep while the kids wait, but they can hear what's coming. Wonderment sweeps the hall as the ducks all in a row march behind Mom to their new permanent home.
It's just a good message. Be excellent to each other, as we are to these ducklings.
And hidden in the hedge, a surprise, 11 more eggs. Lucky for them, spring is about to come a second time. Katie Beck, NBC News, Eugene, Oregon.
Kids and animals, it's a lot of cute. That's going to do it for us on a Friday. I'm Lester Holt. For all of us at NBC News, thank you for watching and good night.